Another common misconception is that dysphoria directly correlates with a lack of masculinity. However, the thing is confidence does not require completion or a certain level of passing or a certain level on your transition. I am a big advocate for that you should be confident in the here and now throughout every single step of your journey. There is no body, there is no mind, there is no certain trait that you need to embody to step into masculinity. We can do it here and now, and this video is supposed to help you do just that. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're continuing the series that I started. If you guys want to watch the video on how to build confidence as a trans man, you click the card right over there or over there. I'm honestly not sure which side it's on, but you guys really seem to have a lot of positive feedback on that video, and as I learn and grow to become the best version of myself mentally, I want us to all do it together. So today we're talking about something that is definitely personal to myself. It's the concept of slipping into toxic masculinity, feeling and conforming to society's version of masculinity, and this can be for trans men, trans mascs, masculine presenting individuals, non-binary folks. It does not have to just be for trans men, but as I'm a trans guy, this is going to be based on my personal experience. Built a company called Masculinity Made, and it's a big misconception that we're trying to shove everybody into that box. But the idea behind Masculinity Made is we're making our masculinity. We're building it from the ground up. What that means is it's not what society tells us masculinity needs to be. It's what we find makes us feel confident in our masculinity. And there's a few things I want to disclaim here. Some people feel confident identifying in society's typical definition of masculinity, and that is also okay. It does not mean you're toxically masculine. It does not mean you're trying to fit into these stereotypes. It does not mean you're insecure in your masculinity. Masculinity looks like that for some people, but masculinity can also be dressing in a way that's typically seen as feminine, being kind, being compassionate versus confident, emotionless, those typically masculine traits. So today we're going to be talking about how to rebrand your masculine identity built authentically for the version of you that feels empowered. Now, I have definitely fallen victim to falling into these toxic masculinity traits. Physically, I've realized that yes, maybe I fall into more of a societal versions of masculinity, but mentally and emotionally, I definitely feel like I don't fit the bill there. So it's been interesting for me to take a step back and realize which parts of myself I'm doing for acceptance versus authenticity. So today we're going to break it all down. So we have three main goals of this video today. First is defining masculinity on your own terms. Two is building confidence rooted in authenticity over approval. And finally, three is going to be cultivating tools to navigate through dysphoria and outside pressures. So let's dive in. But before we do, if you guys are new here, liking the series, make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. That is absolutely amazing. You guys have absolutely been loving me posting consistent videos every single week. So I'm here trying to make it happen time and time again. So make sure to subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment on your personal experiences with masculinity. I'd love some feedback and to kind of talk back and forth with you all in the comments. So what is masculinity really? Society's version of masculinity could be seen as the following: traits of dominance, stoicism, strength, being lacking of emotions, all of these things are typically masculine traits. So what we want to do is we completely want to go into redefining our masculinity on a clean slate. And how I typically have done this is with breath work. Take some time and just isolate yourself in the present moment. What does masculinity mean to you? It is your chosen values. This could be vulnerability. This could be authenticity. This could be kindness. This could be discipline. This could be stoicism or strength. It could be what society thinks masculinity is, or it could be the polar opposite. Step one is isolate, then define your chosen values of masculinity. Masculinity is not about the traits that one has, it's about how you show up for yourself day in and day out. What makes someone feel the most masculine to you? When you think about masculinity to you, not based on what anyone else is thinking, what does that look like? These are some thought-provoking questions to help you brainstorm, and a great tool would be to journal out what this means, and we can even build an avatar of what our ideal masculine self looks like. Another common misconception is that dysphoria directly correlates with a lack of masculinity. However, the thing is confidence does not require completion or a certain level of passing or a certain level on your transition. I am a big advocate for that you should be confident in the here and now throughout every single step of your journey. There is no body, there is no mind, there is no certain trait that you need to embody to step into masculinity. We can do it here and now, and this video is supposed to help you do just that. A few tips to help you out with this is: one, building and finding a community can be super huge, and you being being able to navigate through these thoughts not only on your own. Step number 2 is going to be if you're in a negative thought pattern towards your body or your mindset, instead of attempting to switch directly to a positive one, which is definitely easier said than done, switch to neutrality. Just feel neutral about how you feel, your body, your mind. Always switching to a mindset of neutrality will be much easier than going from negativity to positivity. That's something that has really helped on those dysphoric days, especially in the gym. Realizing that the body staring back at you in the mirror is not the definition of your masculinity. Again, it's your chosen values. There is no body type that is quote unquote masculine. And again, that's something that we talk about a lot in our program at Masculinity Made, is we're not attempting to get you to fit into these set boxes. The first step is breaking down what masculinity means to you, then defining what's going to make you feel most comfortable physically and mentally, accumulatively, to build confidence in that identity. So once we create this personal definition of masculinity, what's next? A great tip is to find role models in this. Masculine identifying role models that you look up to that embody the type of masculinity you feel most connected to, whether it's someone on social media, whether it's a character in your favorite anime, it doesn't matter. You know, it can be a cis person, a trans person, the list goes on. It can be absolutely anyone. Finding these role models and people that you can kind of come to and refer to when you're building yourself up can also be extremely motivating. Another great part about masculinity, and I think this is universal for masculinity, femininity, whatever that looks like, is just what makes you feel most like yourself. What traits, what activities, what parts of your appearance make you feel most like you? That is a prompt that we can root back to very, very frequently when you're ever struggling throughout any of the steps in this process. What makes you feel most like you? Confidence is often a really big part of stepping into someone's masculinity. I know for me personally, when I feel confident, I feel very affirmed in my masculine identity. So how to step into confidence? Again, we did a video on this a few weeks ago if you want to check it out, but a little bit more on that. There's a few things. First thing is you want to practice this. Slowly but surely practice boundary setting, practice, correcting someone at the coffee shop on your pronouns if they misgender you versus trying to correct the family member that might be a little bit more scary and might put you in a little bit more of a tough spot. Test the waters. Try out different fashion styles in your room. Have your own fashion show instead of going from 0 to 100 and going out on a night out, wearing something you might be trying out for the first time. It is okay to take baby steps. Each week, you should be challenging yourself to do one thing that's going to allow you to step into confidence and step into your masculine identity. Repetition is huge here. You have to keep going. Some things are going to work, some things are going to feel good, and some things aren't. You just have to keep going. One thing I'll say about confidence is confidence grows in the presence of self-trust. Trust in yourself. Not myself, not any mentor. Nobody is going to define this masculinity for you. You need to trust in yourself and your own definition and in your own confidence. Those are the main tips that have helped me step into masculinity. But a little bit more about my story is I really struggled for a long period in my life, kind of fitting into those toxic masculinity stereotypes that weren't my true identity. And it felt like when I transitioned, of course, before my transition, I felt like I was living a lie. I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. I was putting on a mask. And then I felt I was doing the same exact thing to fit into these boxes to please people around me. The biggest thing I learned, and the bane of my existence, honestly, was seeking approval over authenticity. As trans and queer people, it is so important for us to live authentically. We put in all of this work mentally, physically, financially, emotionally to step into bodies and minds we feel confident in. And I spent so much time just feeling like I didn't want to be a burden. I wanted to be the trans guy that was, that passed all the time and that everyone thought, oh, he's chill, But why would I want to please those people when I wasn't even pleasing myself? That's when I took a huge step back. I've been on social media since the beginning of my transition and gender journey. So it's been a real struggle and a blessing, honestly, transitioning in the public eye. I am the first to say I've made mistakes. I've tried, I've failed, I've learned, I've grown, and you've seen it all. It actually causes me a lot of anxiety, which I want to talk about in a different video, just public perception and being, someone so immersed in the community. It was a lot for me. I felt like I had to live up to a certain standard of masculinity, but I realized to be my most authentic self and to inspire the community and build a community, authenticity is something that I wanted to preach. So I'm a very not serious guy. I mean, if you guys watch the YouTube channel, you see, especially when I'm with my friends like Ali, Isabel, I'm the most not serious person ever. Of course, when I'm working, but that's a whole different story. I realize that tapping into my humorous side, my not serious side, I am the opposite of stoic. I am the opposite of the tough guy. I really, really am. And being able to, embrace that was absolutely huge for me. So stepping into my masculinity, what that meant for me, and again, take this all with a grain of salt. This does not mean that what I'm saying is what masculinity should mean for you. What that meant for me is it meant being authentic in every aspect of my life, on social media, in front of my family, in front of my friends, my peers, in public, at social events, being authentic and being conscious of when I'm trying to seek approval versus authenticity. And that has absolutely changed the game for me. Sometimes just understanding, oh, in that moment, I was seeking approval, not being my authentic self, was huge. Those steps helped me embody, someone that I feel more comfortable with living, in and embodying in, and that is huge. Do this for you. That is the biggest thing. And this is not a box I've checked. I still find myself rebranding my identity and my masculinity time and time again, but the gym can help, but there's so much more to this. That's why I started this series, is because there's so much more to embodying confidence than just picking up a set of dumbbells and calling it a day and getting that V-taper back. I think that's what a lot of people think, my goal is with Masculinity Made and social media, is saying every single trans and queer guy has to look like this to feel affirmed, and we're gonna crush your dysphoria by forcing you to look like this. That is absolutely not how it works. And people can make their assumptions, and that is 100% okay, but why we do what we do is to have people step back, break these boundaries, break through these limiting beliefs, and embody someone mentally and physically that they feel confident and comfortable in. We are building up this masculinity mentally and physically, hence the phrase built not born. It means regardless of how we are born and the setbacks that we have experienced, we build someone that we feel confident in. With that being said, I hope everyone pulled something cool from this video, realize that this is all just my personal opinions and my experience. If any of you think any differently, that is completely okay. I'm no expert. This is just something I thought I'd share, as I've dealt with this throughout my transition over the last year or so. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know if you want to see another third episode for this series. I think I'm going to film like a day in the life, something along those lines next week to mix things up a little bit, but I will catch y'all in the next one. And if you took some value from this, make sure to subscribe, like, and follow along for the rest of the series. Love y'all. Peace.